Thanks for joining us. And just going to look through a few important things to do with the market. Let's have a look at the main Bellwether Indicators. So let's have a look at the dollar index. If I can find it, here it is. So one of the issues we had in the drop in the markets in February, March was the rise in the dollar. So that was a big liquidity issue, and hence the reason why we saw such a big, well, one of the reasons why we saw a big drop in the markets. So if the reason why I look at this is because if the dollar is going to pick up again, then that could knock the US markets off of their highs and drag them to the downside. So if we are going to see some weakness in the dollar, then that could hold up the markets. And as we speak, we're into support. We're weak, but we're into support. So in the second half of the week, if we pick up here, then that could spell trouble for the markets. Now, if we look at the Nasdaq is struggling at these highs. We're almost back to 2020 highs. So an incredible push higher. We're just seeing the Nasdaq just back off of that, and that is being continued now. So we saw some selling on the first day back of the week because the US was off as well as us on Monday, and just pulling back into the support now. So this dip has just, all it's done is created a pullback here. So it's where we close. If we close under this level here, then US markets could see more of a downside. If we can hold this level, obviously we could go back to the 2020 highs. I think it's at this stage, I think it would be quite normal to see this drift back a little further, potentially back into that 9,000 mark. So we may sort of just wiggle around a bit and ultimately pull back and then slingshot higher if that is going to be the case. And let's look at the Dow. So the Dow, as you can see, has hit a major wall. This is the fibs from the extreme 2020 ranges, and so we've wiggled our way up to this resistance area and just struggling with it. Really, if we can, the first time we've been up here since early March drop. So it's only a first test of this resistance level. So it could be that we decline and later, again, like the Nasdaq, pull back to some support, a little bit lower down here, and then if we are going to break it, then we might push it up. But at the moment, dips are still buyable, unless, of course, we get a nice red close around here somewhere, which could create a bit more of a backdraft. You can see the 24,000 level is the major support. But at the moment, all dips are getting bought. If we were to close at 270, 280, or anything higher, that bodes very well for the rest of the week. And so you can see how far behind the Dow is to the Nasdaq. Nasdaq is, in comparison, right up here. There's a gap up there as well, in comparison. So the industrial Dow index is really lagging and struggling at the moment. So it needs to close above this level here to support it. Let's have a look at the DAX. So the DAX has been a lot cleaner to trade than the Dow recently. You know, once we broke out of this little squeeze pattern here, at the moment all pullbacks are getting bought, including quite a big downdraft today. So the DAX is a similar area of resistance up here at 620. So close above here, and we could potentially wind our way up to 12.5. So it's just a question if we can hold up here. At the moment, evidence is we can. So the Nasdaq has actually been a better vehicle to trade. The mornings have been somewhat cleaner. If we look at the 10-minute charts on a couple of mornings, let's take this morning. If I can just find the European. So this is the London Open. You can see on this dip this afternoon, all we did is pull back to the London Open and closed higher. So we held all this support coming into London Open and then broke up. So we have a setup for trading that, and the pullbacks here, the entry in our system was about 520, 538. And so if you were able to take that, you could have potentially had a couple hundred pips. The beauty of the system is if you don't get your money, if you don't get your day's money in the Euro session, you could trade that setup on a pullback. Let's look at the Dow. The Dow is behaving quite differently. I think that's left over from last week, actually, that one. So today we've had the open range was up here. I've lost it. This is it. So at the moment, so we had all that selling from 1:30 UK time, dipping down, pulling back into resistance. So now it's sort of somewhat neutral, really. So I was I bought in the trading room today. I bought this bit here. I bought this pullback into that resistance for 90 pips. I did take a chunk off of here on the upside, and I've left it. So now we're hitting this 25,300. We've got the Fed beige book at 7 o'clock. Not expecting that to rock the markets, but certainly I think it's worth waiting to see where we are at the last hour. So the next time I'm going to trade this is going to be in the last hour. So if we are holding, let's say for example we're holding this 25,120 area into the close, then I would potentially buy that and then see if we can break up through that resistance. You can see all this resistance we're bumping into at the moment. So bear in mind we've already had a decent sell from that point. There is a case for selling this high at the moment and then looking to see where we are in that last hour. So this is all in line with Scalper School strategy. This is not the system. I'm not showing you the actual system for Scalper School. I'm showing you an outline of what we do in the trading room. And in that trading room, we are also looking at commodities such as gold, oil, and the grains, whichever's trending well at the time. So, for example, if oil, let's have a look at oil at the moment. Oil has been trending really well. So again, all these markets are just having something of a pullback today. If you look at the bigger picture, let's look at a 2-hour chart. The major support I've got in oil is down here. We've got events tomorrow, normally Wednesday, but they're tomorrow because of Memorial Day. So if we come down and test that 31.50, this is a 2-hour chart on oil. I am actually going to set an alarm down there. I would very much like to buy around about that 31.40, 31.50. It may not get down there. You know, we have a higher close up here on the 2-hour chart already. But if we do get the opportunity to get a setup down there, that is something I would be interested in. If we look at the 10-minute chart on that one today, and let's look at the 2 o'clock tends to be the main where all the volume comes in. In fact, let's just check that. Let's put volume on the chart. Yeah, you can see Yeah, you can see this is the 10 o'clock volume bar here. A lot of volume came in there, but they dropped it, and even more volume came in at the point in which they dropped it. Always a good sign. So they pulled it out of that range, nipped back in there again, and subsequently coming out of it. So I like to I'll trade this if it is performing really well on the way up in a trend. At the moment we're flat. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is, if you look at the daily on the oil, we've had a nice run on this. So if you're day trading it and picking up support at the open, great. But at the moment we have hit this resistance, and it looks to me as if it needs a pullback before that can resume its trend. So hence the reason why I'm looking for that 3140, 3150 to see if that can pick up. Okay, so all the time that this was trending up here, you were getting nice open ranges, and you know, the open range was telling you when, if you were going to get potential moves in that day, depending on how it reacted to that open. So that's the kind of, as a day trader, that is the kind of market that kind of way I like to trade. I like to let the market open, use the same setup that I use every day to gauge the momentum of the market at the open, and then I'll pick my spot. If it's buyable, I'll pick my spot to buy, and obviously if it's shortable, I will I've got a very, very specific setup for shorting the markets. So that's what we do in the trading room. And the reason why, you know, it's good to be in a trading room like ours, because we're trading a system. So we trade the same setups every single day and expect the same results. And the fact we're all working together in a trading room means that you're much, much more likely to stick to the rules, because we all know you can get distracted with markets. Yeah, you might see a big dip in a market and think, oh wow, that's selling. Yeah, I need to get short. But if you've done your homework and you've got a system, you can find out why they're putting it back to that area, and yeah, whether that short burst to the downside could be viable, or whether that's something you should short on pullbacks. So that, and the system tells you that. The system, our system, has a way of measuring the action during the day to determine whether you are in a pullback zone or whether you are actually potentially rolling over and selling. So let's just look at a couple of other markets. Let's look at some bigger picture areas now. So we talked about how oil has hit a bit of a ceiling, temporary ceiling here. There's the gap fill at 40, 41. So we're just looking to see if we can pull back, get a bit of a slingshot on this oil, on the price, get it to come back into some support, and then see if we can push it back into 38, 40 and beyond. Yeah, it should be with everybody inching back to work. You know, oil is normalizing, as you'd expect. Yeah, the charting software is pro real time. I'm using IG. I've got 3 accounts. I use IG as a day trading account. It's actually quite expensive to hold stuff over in IG, so you need to be very careful about that. But I have an account with Interactive Brokers where I trade futures and US stocks. IG are good, their spreads are okay, they've got a very, very wide range of markets. That's one of the reasons why I use them for day trading and scanning. Their scanning software is great. If you are used to programming it. It's very, very simple to program, and I like it a lot. So yeah, so we are, let's have a look at a couple of other markets. Let's look at some main stocks. I always keep an eye on the main Dow stocks, because if I'm trading the index, I need to know where the momentum of the trades are. So at the moment, we've broken out of an apex here, and we've pulled back to the top side of that trend and holding. So if we can continue to at least hold above here, and ideally close above 150, this could lift the Dow up further from its current resistance level that we just talked about. And this is Apple. These are all Dow stocks. Apple's hit resistance and is pulling back. So that's a really nice move off of 212 right up there to 325. That's a decent run. But if we can come back to support, if we get a test, 300 is not that far off. So if we can come back to 300 and find some support, that could go up and retest those highs again. I don't do a lot of day trading on stocks. I do, if I like a stock, I will pull back to intraday levels and then decide if the intraday is seeing some buyers. So I will use intraday setups from that point of view. Otherwise, I will pull back. I will leave it. Now, these are stocks I'm interested in at the moment. Interested in Merck. Now, excuse all the actual real-time data is not as scrappy as that. That's the downside of using IG, because they make their own market. So if I fib this area here, now if I fib this area here in Merck, what I'm looking for, I would like to buy 75 in Merck, because if that then subsequently closes above that resistance, we could pop back to 85.90. And also like Twitter. Twitter's a little too high for me at the moment. I would like to buy Twitter ideally back about 30, 35. So these are all stocks I've scanned. I like the look of, but they've all got too ahead of themselves for me. So I'm just waiting for pullbacks on them. And this is one I meant to look at and I've forgotten. Ignore that, I'm not going to trade that. Shopify is looking lower. Right, let's, what else am I looking at? Plan, yeah, this is another good one. If you're not trading stocks, then stocks are definitely something you need to get involved in, because that's where the big money is. If you can catch these runs. Right, I need to set an alarm for some of these. I need to set an alarm for, I'll set an alarm for 41 and hope that comes down and tests that 41 on plan. Align Tech, again this one's too high. I need a pullback. There's a gap fill down there. So I'm going to be really patient and see if I can get a gap fill on that. Now that could mean it takes the summer, but that's great. I will be very, I don't need to bother keep checking it. I will just keep an eye on that. Alibaba got ahead of itself, so I would like to buy this a little bit lower. If it closes higher today, I'm going to have to buy a higher price, but I would ideally like that to pull back further into that one. And Abbey V, that's too far ahead of itself as well. I would want 85 on that. Let's have a look at commodity markets. I'm going to keep going unless you chip in and give me any questions and so on. Let's have a look at where wheat is. I'm currently involved in wheat. Market closes in 50 minutes. So at the moment, that is not looking great. We are at trendline support, but I need that to pick up into the close above 505 ideally. Otherwise, that's likely to come back. Who knows? 497, 500. The reason why I like it is because if we can come out of this and close above 510, 515, I think they can get back up to 580 plus. At which point, if it does get up there, it's going to take a while. It's going to take weeks, not just days, I think. If it does get up there, that could do really, really well. Now, this one I'm looking as well. A trade, I was in this last week and came out. Because at the moment it's knocking its head against that resistance. All I would really like from this, I'd love it to come under that, come down to February lows, or if it starts closing higher here, I'll buy up here. So if it starts closing above that level, then I will start buying. In the meantime, that still looks lower, so I will back off. Let's look at gold, because we've looked at oil. That's dollar. Gold is here. Sorry. Yeah, I was tempted. In fact, I did buy a little position at 17. It went down to about 95. I don't like buying high, and it just looks too high to me. If we start closing under 1695, that's had it. That's lower. So I'm just sort of got to mark a lot on that one at the moment. Silver. Now I missed this push in silver, so I would ideally like to see that down at the 1630, 1640 mark. But that is not pulling back at the moment, so it looks higher. If you want to come into the trading room, you need to get involved in Scalper School. The Scalper School is here. I'll send you the link. Now, what it is, it's a specific system. So only people in the room are people who are Scalper School graduates, because that makes sure we're all singing off the same sheet and we're all looking for the same setups. So it's about coming on the program. The program is very, very intensive. 4-hour Saturday morning. Next one is next Saturday, and this is what you learn: the gap and go strategies, the open strategy, pullbacks, reloads, and here I'm talking about the anchor system, which is absolutely paramount to what we do. Getting you to set the charts up in the same way that we set them up. Risk management. Far too many traders come into trading without the risk management system. And not only do we have a trading room, we also have an alert system as well. So the alert system operates from Monday morning through to Friday afternoon. The trading room operates 4 sessions a week, 4 US sessions a week, and then once we subsequently come out of the trading room, then we look at potential setups later in the day for those people who want to trade later in the day, or just continue trading full stop. So at the moment, I'm not putting any alerts in the room because I'm waiting for 23rd of May. Actually, I need to change this. I've actually postponed this 23rd of May, and it is next Saturday, which is the 30th. So I'll go and change those dates later. So if you want to join us, click on that booking form, fill out this information, send it off, and then you'll need to use one of these PayPal buttons. Okay, any other questions? Let's go back to the Dow and see how that's performing. It's really scrappy at the moment. So the fact it's on the south side of the range at the moment means you, as a scalper school graduate, you would be shorting at the moment. So you can see the big moves once we come in, once we test that range, once we break out of it and test it. So no reason to buy that at the moment. And we just need to see what we are going to get out of that at in that last hour. Okay, so I mean the trading room is good fun because we're all trading the same system. We're all looking for the same setups, and there's an alert room and a chat room, so that you can ask questions about the system or suggest things that you're seeing and share it, and you know, we can all analyze the charts and, you know, squeeze as much out of this as possible. I posted in the trading room I was looking for 550. Unfortunately it was 560, so I was a bit called that a little too low, and I know why it's on 560. The anchor chart said 60, 25,060, so that's a bit remiss of me not calling that a bit higher. Had you taken the 060, you would have potentially got 230 pips out of it. So I'm not calling anything else until we get the last hour. So if you want more information about that, drop me a line on the contact form from that website and find out more. Otherwise, that's all I've got for you at the moment. I'm going to keep you posted on some of those stocks I'm trading. I'm either in or looking at. Oh, this one's not good, is it? At the moment, the wheat looked really good earlier on. Looked as if that was about to break out, and then it just popped back lower again. We're close to that $5 mark, so I got my stop under the $5 because I'm just going to intend to stay in that. These squeezes, if it sits up and comes up to the right side of a squeeze, having spent all this time above it, if it sits the right side of it, I would have been buying more on pullbacks and hoping to push this up, because a 1 cent move, 1 cent in grains is worth $48 for one contract. So these little moves for one contract are actually quite significant. Don't need a massive account to trade futures. I think in the US they're probably going to want, I think it must be about $25,000, I think, to start trading it. There's normally anything from about 2 to 4 on the Dow, and about 2 or 3 others based on oil and gold, or some of the other commodities, depending on what's going on. So 2 to 4 on the Dow. If you look at, there is a website, scalperschool.co.uk. I'm not using it at the moment because it doesn't comply with regulations, so I stopped using it. But if you look at scalperschool.co.uk and go on to the, I can't remember what I called it. There's a page there with screenshots of my account, my futures account. Okay. So I'm going to go and get some air, get away from my screens for a bit, and then start looking at what these markets are doing as they draw to a close. See if there's any other trades that I can post. And so, any other questions? If you want to talk about Scalper School, let me have your number and a good time to call you, and we can have a chat if you want, if you'd find that helpful. Otherwise, we do this free session is every Wednesday at 6 using the same link, or we do a big picture session on Sunday, which you are very welcome to come along to. I'll just grab the link for that. So this is the session on Sunday where we go into big picture analysis. Okay, fine, good. Well, thanks a lot for joining me. Have a good evening, and look forward to drop me a line, and let's get you in the trading room, and let's get you trading these markets, because they're lovely and volatile at the moment, which is great. Thanks very much, and bye for now.